My family and I moved to Singapore from Oslo in Norway in 2008. Before that, I lived in the US since 1994, coming from Manila. Moved to Singapore in 2008, found it to be a great place to live, really nice people. Um, my wife and I both have great careers here. Our kids are here. And we find it a very livable city. I'm currently with the IMC Pan Asia Alliance Group. It's a group of over 300 companies with over 3 billion in assets. We're primarily involved in shipping, real estate, and investments. And in fact, we have a number of investments in the Philippines, including shipping and manning services for offshore vessels and for ships. And we also have significant investments in companies doing upstream oil and gas work off of Palawan. So we basically drill for oil in Palawan with a couple of our entities. I'm chairman of one of those companies. So we do have sizable stake in the success of the Philippines. I think it's a harmonious, productive, really a great relationship, a win-win relationship for both sides. Singapore gets to tap the great talents of Filipinos as well as sell into the fantastic and growing Philippine market. The Philippines, on the other hand, benefits from the financial muscle brought in by Singapore, as well as its home as a base as an entrepot for trade and logistics all across Asia. In Singapore, as you know, many of those who make the households run, the household helpers who champion the homes every day, come from the Philippines, and I think these Filipinos deserve a great round of applause for the fantastic work that they're doing. At the same time, there are a significant number of service workers in the city-state. You can't bump into a restaurant without seeing Filipinos. And then more and more, there are professionals taking on significant responsibilities within Singaporean and local and regional companies of leadership roles that you'll see that are come from the Philippines. So that's quite good. And I'm pleased to know that there is increasing trade from Singapore to the Philippines. If I remember the notes from the embassy, Singapore is now the fourth largest foreign investor into the Philippines, and I hope that number keeps growing. I think it's a great event. I think the president's presence there will do nothing but raise the profile of the country, bring the great news about the reforms and changes being brought about. I think that the confidence of the foreign investment community is quite palpable. There has been an increased interest in investing in, if not actually have invested in the Philippines. And events such as these, which allow the president to express the views about the country, get asked tough questions, answer really pressing issues, will do nothing but increase confidence in the Philippines as a viable investment platform for many countries. Well, first off, I think we've got a president whose integrity has never been questioned, and I think it's quite important that we have that. The last thing you want is for a leader with, say, less than stellar record presenting themselves to foreigners. That doesn't inspire any confidence at all. So I'm confident that with the president's Daang Matuwid programs and his track record, I think it will be quite fruitful. I'm pleased that he's meeting with the chambers. It shows a willingness to listen and willingness to take feedback from the business community. I think it is no secret that many people have wanted to invest in the Philippines, but for lack of direction or for other such reasons, they've been hesitant to do so. So I think these forums are opportunities for the president to really serve as the #1 salesperson for the Philippines, bring jobs to the country, bring investments to the country, and explain what the country is all about. We're not just a great tourist destination, but undoubtedly that's true. We're not just a great place to source manpower, but that's true. But we're a great place for resources, we're a great place for ideas, we're a great place for consumption and for goods. We're a great place to do business. And I think that's a great message that the president is delivering. I'm absolutely thrilled by the reforms being carried out in the country, so much so that my wife and I frankly have talked about it and said the Philippines is probably one place we want to move back to of all the countries I've lived in. The growth is astounding. The people, of course, none are closer to my heart than Filipinos. We both can see our careers progress there. So I actually am looking to see for opportunities in the Philippines. That wouldn't have happened, say, years and years ago, simply because the growth wasn't there, simply because the opportunities weren't there. But today, I see the opportunities, I see the excitement, I see the vibrance. So yes, count me in as a believer in growth in the country, and yes, it's a check mark. It's a place that I can see myself growing in, and I can see my children growing up in, and that I think is is not something that could have been said years ago. Many of the things are easier said than done. I think that we've always had good intentions, but we've never quite executed on them. So one thing that must happen is we must implement and we must execute. We must carry it out. It's not enough that we have good words. It's not enough that we have these ideas. We have to make them happen, not just for us, but more importantly for future generations. I'm pleased to say that I think this administration is doing just that. It is starting to carry out these changes. It is starting to implement the needed reforms. It is making the tough decisions. We're seeing movement in the private-public partnership projects. We're seeing efforts across reform of key laws that inhibit investment. I think we are looking at a progressive focus towards infrastructure development in the country. These are necessary things that we must do, that we must continue on. It's not easy, but I think the Filipinos are starting to realize that if we invest for tomorrow, it will be a brighter tomorrow for ourselves and more importantly for our children and grandchildren. Ang Pilipino sanay sa mga negatibong parinig, siguro hindi na lang natin pinapansin. Pero ang mahalaga ngayon hindi lang natin tinatawanan siya, kundi may ginagawa tayo para maayos ito. Hindi sapat na tawanan na lang o kaya ibaliwala. Mas mahalaga, gawin natin, harapin natin, gawin natin ang nararapat para maayos ito. And I think that's a key difference. And I think that we're starting to realize that in order to make changes, we're going to have to take these tough choices.